One of Diddy's top defense attorneys, Mark Agnifilo, abruptly left a court hearing during the proceedings, sparking rumors in the courtroom. Agnifilo has long been involved in complex cases featuring high-profile clients and closely watched defenses, so his sudden departure was noteworthy, despite it being normal for attorneys to withdraw under certain circumstances. Such courtroom exits raise concerns about potential disputes within Diddy's defense team, such as disagreements over legal tactics or unanticipated dynamics in a case that garners significant media coverage. As the remaining attorneys adapt to a case that is now without one of its key voices, this move may signify deeper issues in Diddy's legal struggle and prompt a reassessment of his defense strategy. Among other things, such incidents are referred to as freak-offs.
Combs referred to as, among other things, freak-offs. Now, you can be a freak and it's not illegal, but you can't force people to do shit. And this is what I'm getting at. When you have a lot of money and you have no accountability and you want to do whatever the you want to do whenever the you want to do it, I think he can go a little bonkers.
You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
I mean, he's complaining to a teenager that you don't really want to hang out with me. Okay, but he didn't do this. Just so you know, he didn't do this. He did not do this. He doesn't have... Oh my God. Look at all that baby oil. He didn't do this. He didn't have all these bottles of baby oil for nothing.
And we'll fight every day until we don't have to fight anymore.
That means when he's out of money.
He's not afraid of the charges. There's nothing that the government...
Okay, that's just dumb. He's not afraid of the charges? Wouldn't you be afraid of the charges? Where are you? You're in fucking Rikers Island. You goddamn well better be afraid. They just executed 2 search warrants. They've got obliterated serial numbers on firearms. They've got videos and baby oil. You know, what he needs is somebody to tell him what the truth is. You are f***ed. You are absolutely f***ed. You're going to prison for the good portion of the rest of your life. I guarantee you, they've offered immunity to the people around him so that they testify.
Agnifilo Mark, one of Diddy's primary defense lawyers, has years of expertise in high-stakes cases, including those involving white-collar crimes, trafficking, and racketeering, and has defended several controversial clients. Although it has garnered criticism, his previous involvement in cases like NXIVM, where he represented Keith Raniere, who was eventually found guilty of trafficking and racketeering, has also demonstrated his ability to handle challenging legal situations. His involvement in Diddy's case underscores the seriousness of the accusations and the level of defense required. Diddy's presence indicates the seriousness of his defense and showcases Agnifilo's skill in managing high-stakes situations, particularly when examining a defendant's prior associations and public persona in relation to the case. Does Agnifilo's walkout suggest possible flaws in Diddy's defense strategy, or could it be part of a larger scheme? The point person behind that request in Diddy's team is defense lawyer, the head of the NXIVM cult. Before discussing those instances, let's take a moment to review his background. He earned a bachelor's degree in philosophy and, beginning in 1998, started working at the U.S. Attorney's Office in the District of New Jersey, where he served as the chief of the Violent Crime Unit and specialized in cases involving murder, money laundering, extortion, and drug trafficking. He earned his political science degree from Connecticut College in 1986, his Juris Doctor from Brooklyn Law School in 1990, and received the American Jurisprudence Award for outstanding performance in trial advocacy. Until 2006, when he began working at the law office of Benjamin Brafman, an expert in sophisticated criminal prosecutions and the RICO statute, the same statute under which Diddy is currently charged, he remained with the U.S. Attorney's Office in his trial for the New York nightclub shooting. Diddy's legal analyst Bruce Rivers provided insights into the potential repercussions Diddy might face, focusing on the implications of federal sentencing guidelines for the RICO Act and trafficking charges. These rules are notoriously stringent, especially when defendants are subject to multiple accusations that result in a pattern of coordinated actions. According to Rivers, if Diddy were proven guilty of these serious charges, he could face life in prison without the possibility of parole in federal court. The gravity of this case transforms it from a celebrity trial into a scenario where one of the greatest symbols of musical freedom is at stake. Rivers' perspective highlights the prosecutorial prowess of the case. Among other things, Diddy allegedly hit, kicked, threw objects at, and occasionally dragged the victim by their hair, as conspiracy can be sufficient for conviction in RICO cases. It is also essential to remember that these victims will testify against Diddy, and they usually received IV fluids to recover from the physical strain and drug use. Unfortunately, I don't want to see him anymore, but you will see him again, and I need to know that they have baby oil bottles. You recall that I mentioned they took all those electronics that someone like this person wanted to preserve, and I can assure you that everything is there. They possess terabytes and terabytes of footage. The main thrust of the prosecution's case, which encompasses multiple accusations under a law typically used to combat organized crime, is the RICO charges against Diddy. According to RICO legislation, prosecutors could argue that a number of suspected offenses, including trafficking misconduct or coercion, were interrelated within a structured framework which may present a demanding position for Diddy's defense. This approach allows prosecutors to connect evidence across a broader scope, making it challenging for defendants to concentrate on refuting specific charges without addressing the more significant claims. For Diddy, this implies that his defense must be dismantled. The prosecution's assertion that the allegations, which include suspected trafficking and potential organized wrongdoing, are supported by an organized structure raises the question: how might Diddy's defense strategy undermine a case centered on RICO's many related transgressions?
Sean Diddy Combs will stand trial in May on his sex trafficking charges. A judge at a hearing in Manhattan set the trial date, also discussing a gag order imposed on prosecutors and the defense, telling them not to discuss the case or provide any material about the case to the media, to the public. They contend that the government leaked a damaging piece of evidence potentially against Combs when a videotape from 2016 was played on CNN earlier this year. That video shows Sean Combs and his then girlfriend Cassie in a hotel in Los Angeles. It had been a secret, private for many years, but then it came to the forefront and was played publicly on CNN. The defense contends that that tape was leaked by investigators. Prosecutors say they have no knowledge of any leak, and they refute the allegation that they were involved in any leaks. The judge says he will consider potentially having an evidentiary hearing to get to the bottom of that. That won't happen for some time. First, the defense and then the prosecution will submit paperwork outlining their positions on this.
Diddy's legal team has maintained a firm stance since the inquiry began, disputing all of the allegations. Attorneys like Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Gabos have taken a strong public stance, claiming that Diddy's case lacks the tangible proof usually needed in serious cases. By portraying Diddy as a victim of circumstance rather than a key player in organized crime, the defense's aggressive denials aim to reframe public opinion and possibly jury perception. They contend that the charges are primarily based on circumstantial evidence and character accusations, which they contend are insufficient grounds for conviction. This strategy aims to reduce the case to a matter of what he said, she said, while casting doubt on the veracity of allegations and witnesses. Recordings on covert tapes at Diddy's houses. Diddy seems to be a voyeur who enjoys using his hidden cameras, which are installed in strategic locations across his mansions, to spy on others. According to Little Rod's complaint, Mr. Combs had concealed cameras in every area of his house, including the shower heads and bathrooms. According to the evidence, Diddy possessed recordings of a number of famous people and artists acting illegally. These recordings were made without the subject's knowledge or permission. Every guest at Mr. Combs' bizarre events is captured on compromising video, so the whole. As the authorities examined the evidence, it was discovered that Diddy apparently possesses bizarre video of Beyoncé's defense lawyer, raising the possibility that the hip-hop business may collapse right before our eyes. Gagos highlights the distinctions between Diddy's case and the cases of Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly, both high-profile cases that are subject to intense public scrutiny and contentious narratives. Gagos notes that Diddy's case reportedly lacks certain tangible physical evidence that played a significant role in obtaining convictions against R. Kelly and Weinstein. By using these comparative Gagos to anticipate and combat similarities that set Diddy's defense apart from the results of other recent high-profile cases. Given the heavy public emphasis on high-profile cases in recent years, her remarks highlight the defense's intention to paint Diddy's claims as mostly circumstantial, creating a boundary between perception and evidential truth. Does the Gago parallel aid or harm Diddy's defense? In court today, they said they've spoken to 50 witnesses, and we said the same thing. We've been doing a parallel investigation every step of the way, talking to every single person. We're there with the same thing. They tell us that this is going our way, not the bail, and that we have them. Many people will talk about this and say that this is what Diddy was about, and some people may pass it off as hip-hop culture. There is a sort of universe of people here that he has been around and that we have been talking to in order to demonstrate that we have a case that he is fighting and that he is innocent. He will be able to prove that he is innocent, which means that he did not do anything wrong and that he is not guilty, so you believe that he did not do any of these things and that he was never present at any of these events. This wasn't his lifestyle, but rather a way of life. His current actions do not necessarily indicate that he has committed a crime unless both the behaviors and the lifestyle are illegal, but the lifestyle itself is not. My partner Mark's remarks in court today were noteworthy because they never once claimed that the women did not consent to what transpired. Additionally, legal experts outside Diddy's defense team have expressed their opinions that, given the seriousness of the charges and the federal sentencing, Diddy may receive a lengthy sentence if found guilty. Rules regarding trafficking and accusations against RICO experts highlight the confluence of elements, especially the accusations of wrongdoing and systematic rudeness. Actions that increase the severity of possible consequences. These outside analyses put additional pressure on Diddy's defense because expert opinions can affect public opinion and potential jurors. Their public statements also shape how the case is perceived, adding a layer of professional perspective that frames the trial as a high-stakes moment in celebrity legal history. Do the opinions of the public and jurors change when legal experts are involved? Can Diddy's defense successfully refute these powerful statements? People were getting high, and there were young, attractive girls swimming in the open without clothes. We moved to a different area of the house so that Diddy wouldn't be exposed to what was happening. Later, Diddy instituted a curfew for kids, giving them an hour to get comfortable. I believe he's a monster this week, so LDY doesn't want to come. More than 120 individuals are coming forward with allegations that he sexually abused them, according to Houston-based attorney Tony Busby. Her youngest victim at the time of the incident was 9 years old, and we also have a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old. Did Diddy ever assault you? I'm not sure what exactly constitutes assault, but he put his arm around me in an awkward manner. Diddy is currently in jail on federal charges related to racketeering and sexual trafficking. He disputes all allegations of sexual assault, including those made against minors. Due to the seriousness of Diddy's indictment, legal experts have focused on it, pointing up the part organized acts allegations and misbehavior have in celebrity cases. These experts argue that instances containing RICO aspects, particularly those involving well-known individuals, set a precedent for how forcefully the legal system handles claims of misbehavior in the entertainment industry. In this instance, public opinion may be significantly impacted by as high-profile cases already struggle to maintain objectivity among jurors. Media coverage centered on expert assessments amplifies this challenge, potentially framing Diddy as already culpable before any trial proceedings fully unfold. For Diddy's team, analysts discussing potential outcomes and closely examining the defense's response to serious allegations complicate jury selection and courtroom strategy. In these situations, defense teams frequently try to counter such influence by concentrating on dismantling specific. She's just a young girl from Northern California who will believe that he did something to her like this, so she didn't tell anyone, didn't hire an attorney, and just made the police report in the hopes that perhaps the police would try to investigate and find anything. However, portions of the prosecution's story, particularly those that could be judged on emotional grounds rather than factual basis alone, are still very much an influential icon. However, she said that even without mentioning Mr. Holmes's name, she felt as if the police were ignoring her, and she lacked confidence that disclosing his identity would have had any impact. After all, there is a police record. I mean, that fact alone is significant because when discussing similar claims from other purported victims in the past, you know there aren't many police records, but you guys do have one, and will that be made public? Will it be visible to us? Yes, as soon as I file my lawsuit in civil court, I will attach the criminal complaint that was made. I will include the number so that everyone can see that this is a real number and that they cannot go to the local police department and get a copy. She thought that the police were attempting to hide this, ignoring her accusations, and not truly looking into it, which is another reason why many victims choose not to disclose these incidents to the authorities. I don't believe so in the police report. The issue that has to be addressed is that there are victims, particularly women, who contact the police. Usually males do not look into these cases. Instead, they victimize, blame, and victim shame, making the women feel unsafe or even protected. They even make these assertions because they don't believe they will be considered or their allegations looked into. Legal professionals claim that because of the seriousness, trafficking by coercion, deception, or force requires at least 15 years and may lead to a life sentence, particularly in federal trials where punishments are harsh and cumulative. Analysts also point out that the defense may have difficulties even if they prove that some accusations are reasonable. Prosecutors often contend that even claims with tenuous connections add to an ordered structure because of the cumulative nature of RICO charges. Because prosecutors present episodes as components of a larger, well-thought-out pattern, this strategy restricts the defense's ability to separate instances. Influence larger views on responsibility if they are successful in understanding every facet of their case. A few of these tales because I believe it's crucial to bring this up when discussing and highlighting some of the accusations made against him and observing some of the things being said about him. Take a look at this right here. Former singer Eyes O'Day of Danity Can writes, she told TMZ that we all buried this inside of us so that we could continue, and not just me, but also the victims you don't even know yet are all processing what that kind of vindication can actually feel like. Now, every conversation I've had with victims last night has been extremely moving on all levels. That was Aubrey's all day, and 50 Cent was going to make sure his voice was H-clowning P. Diddy, taunting him essentially because he's long Ed P. Diddy for years due to the horrific accusations against him. And what does he say here? Yesterday, 50 Cent said, "I am good company with the Drew Barrymore TV show, and I don't have 1,000 bottles of lube at the house." 50 Cent was alluding to the more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and personal lubricants for the freaks that were purportedly discovered during the March raid of Diddy's homes in Miami and Los Angeles. The indictment also details allegations of a criminal. Legal analyst El Honig clarified that the RICO charges and trafficking accusations present a significant challenge for the defense because each charge increases the possible sentence in the case of attack and uphold stringent security measures. Given that individuals detained without bail are often seen as possible flight hazards, his attentiveness underscores the gravity of the accusations. There's a reason why people say you don't want to capture a federal criminal. If you have a federal case, the feds bring you in and you've been indicted. What did you say about the 95% chance that they'll get you and convict you of something? That's what confronting limitless resources is all about. If you are a defendant in a case, it is difficult to match that, but it has been done, as we said at the start of the program, in the case of John DeLorean, so it is possible. However, in this specific situation, we stated that Diddy has. It's amazing resources that will be helpful, but if the case is as strong as it seems right now, or at least as the feds have presented it, you might think there is no chance. However, it's possible that they aren't presenting everything they have at this time. The problem is that in terms of public perception, Diddy's legal team is under pressure to disprove the related accusations. Federal regulations provide little leeway for plea bargaining. The case will test Diddy's defense face significant jail time if proven guilty. Collisions. There are also difficulties with federal sentencing standards for RICO and trafficking accusations since convictions. The possibility of a multi-decade or life sentence in Diddy's case highlights the seriousness of the trial, particularly as RICO standards contain cumulative punishments that take into account related activities. But legal professionals have highlighted how strict federal regulations might be, leaving little opportunity for exceptions in situations involving organized crime. Diddy's defense will have a difficult time disproving each accusation, or cutting the story of systematic misconduct will be crucial. That concludes today's video. Stay tuned till the next one. Diddy's defense may be able to challenge the federal guidelines and lessen the likelihood of a severe sentence if convicted in order to escape the full range of criminal sanctions.